Yo, what is up, guys? It's Cohen back here again today with another video. The first video of the day. I thought this was going to be the second, third, maybe fourth. I thought something was going to happen, but not a single trade happened all day today in the NBA. But here we are. Today's officially trade deadline day. As you're seeing this video, we're about 15 hours away, or at least as I'm recording it, we're about 15 hours away from the trade deadline officially hitting. Teams won't be able to make trades anymore at 3 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Well, I guess today, technically, depending on what time zone you're in. But for me, today. So I'm very interested to see what happens. This is going to be a recap of the games, but more so I'm going to talk about each of the teams that played today and what I think their deadline is going to look like tomorrow, what I think it should look like. Yeah, just kind of the differences between those two things, because there are a lot of things that I think will happen that I don't know if should happen, and vice versa. So it's going to be an interesting one to talk about. I talked about the Sixers mainly yesterday and a little bit about some other teams with the Warriors, the Suns. So I'll get into some different teams today. I guess I'll go ahead and start with the news that kind of broke earlier that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander might miss the rest of the season. No, they didn't specifically say that, but he's out indefinitely with plantar fasciitis, I believe is how you say it. I watched a video from a foot doctor earlier, so I think I remember that. Pretty sure that's how it's pronounced, but he might be out for the rest of the season. I really hope he's not. If you haven't been to the channel before, he's my favorite player. If you can't tell from the thunder flag in the background and the fact that he is my Twitter avatar as well as my YouTube avatar. So big fan of the guy. Really hoping he's going to be okay. We'll just have to see. For right now, it's going to be pretty big in terms of helping the Thunder tank. Lost by 9 points tonight to the Grizzlies. Fought pretty hard despite the loss. In terms of the Thunder, I don't think we're going to do anything too crazy at the deadline. I think George Hill's gone. I think Mike Muscala is gone. That's mostly it, probably. Maybe Justin Jackson. There was reports that we're going to not trade Kenrich Williams, which I'm really excited about because I like him a lot as a player. So I'm excited about that. I don't expect the Thunder to be too busy after a super busy offseason. I don't see like an Al Horford trade going down or anything like that. Maybe we'll get involved in another trade, picking up some salary for a first-round pick. Maybe Eric Bledsoe or something like that. We'll see, though. That would also hurt the tank. On the Grizzlies side of the ball, I don't see the Grizzlies doing much. I think that they're going to buy out Gorgie Zhang. The team looks okay right now, I guess. They're still waiting on Jaren Jackson Jr. to return whenever he decides to do so. That'll be a big addition to the team. I think that's just what they're waiting on. I think the Grizzlies are kind of just going to wait things out. Now, ultimately, in this video, what I do want to talk about is the Toronto Raptors. They are the biggest player in the upcoming deadline day, I guess. I don't know if we'll see day, more so last few hours probably, with the way things have been moving super slow. But there's been a lot of reports that the reason a lot of trades haven't happened is because teams are waiting to see what happens with the Raptors. Teams are waiting to see who can get involved to make things happen. Maybe it's like the Sixers want to get involved and they want to trade some Danny Green to make a 3-team deal happen. So there's different players in that. But the Raptors, they played the Nuggets today. Won by 24 points. Big win for the Raptors. And ultimately, it was a send-off for Kyle Lowry. It's been rumored all week that he's going to get traded, but it's never been certain. And if you watch the end of that game, he's gone. He's very clearly gone. Crying at the end of the game, giving peace signs to the camera on his way out. Kyle Lowry's gone. And Raptors fans are very sad, and I think that's very warranted. It's definitely the right decision long-term for the franchise to move on from him now, while he still has a lot of value. Teams are going to pay a lot for him. Whether it's the Heat or the Sixers, some team is going to give you a young piece for him, a piece that helps you in your future, and he's just not what you need at this point. This is a lost season. Let him go. Let him and Norman Powell go, another guy who has been on the Raptors for a long time. He's the second longest tenured Raptor, I think, behind Kyle Lowry. He was also pretty sad, pretty thankful to Toronto and the fans, the media, all that stuff at the end of the game in his post-game interview. So they're gone. It's going to be interesting to see where they end up going. If I had to make a prediction, I think Kyle Lowry might end up on the Heat. I think the Sixers should go out and get him, but I'm going to lean Heat right now. For Norman Powell, I really don't have any idea. He could go a million different places. There was a report that said he could go any number of places up into the teens. So that's a lot of teams that are very interested in him. I wouldn't be surprised if he went a number of directions. But the big guy is Kyle Lowry. And that's because he is the greatest Raptor of all time. And as a Thunder fan, I know how it feels to watch your franchise's greatest player get traded. I wish we had a chance like this with Russell Westbrook to see his final game be played out and know that it was ending. I would have loved to get to say goodbye, theoretically, or get to watch him say goodbye to the fans. It was very unceremonious the way we went out, losing to the Trailblazers, that Dame shot, and then going into an offseason kind of uncertainty, but there was really no indication that the band was being broken up. There was no indication that Russell Westbrook's time in OKC was over, and then Paul George randomly gets traded in the middle of the night, and next thing we know, Russell Westbrook's off to the Rockets. So I'm jealous of Raptors fans in the fact that I wish Westbrook had this type of send-off. I would have loved to see him get one last chance to play, one last chance to kind of just soak it all in as part of the franchise. I'm sure one day he'll be back, whether it's for like a one-day contract or if he decides to play his final season with us, he's going to be back at some point, and I'm going to love every second of it, no matter when he decides to come back. But I feel for you Raptors fans. I really do. I know how much it hurts. Raptors fans are all over the timeline. There's been an outpouring of Kyle Lowry love, which I love to see. That just made me think that maybe I should keep an eye on my phone in case something happens while I'm making this video. But it's going to be interesting to see where he goes, and I hope that Raptors fans continue to root for him. He's a great guy, and I think he's a huge story as to why you can't give up on players so soon. He was not good for a while when he came into the league, and he was pretty disappointing until like his 8th or 9th season in the NBA. He was just meh. And then one season in Toronto, he breaks out. Next season, he's an all-star, and he's an all-star for season after season after season after that. And he truly became loved in Toronto, huge part to that championship run, huge part to many runs deep into the playoffs, to the Eastern Conference Finals before Kawhi got there. He was a huge part of Toronto for the longest time, and it's really weird as an NBA fan to see him go. I know we're all rooting for trades and stuff, but it's also weird to kind of look back and think, like, man, Kyle Lowry's he's not going to be a Raptor tomorrow, and that's weird. It just throws me off sometimes. Yeah, he's obviously the biggest name that's going to get traded. I'll move on to some other teams now, but I just wanted to give Raptors fans this shout out and say I know what pain you're going through. With the Nuggets side of the ball, Nuggets getting blown out tonight. This is not a game they should have gotten blown out in. The Raptors have not been very good, although they did have the power of the Kyle Lowry farewell game on their side, so I can't blame them too much. Really, this game just shows that Jokic needs more help. Jokic has been incredible all season, and there's a graphic to start this game where it showed that Jokic was leading in pretty much every single stat on the Nuggets. Definitely an MVP candidate, top 2, top 3, I don't know, depending on where you want to put him. The MVP race is kind of crazy right now. I'm not even sure where I would have him right now, but he's way up there, and the Nuggets need help. And there's been reports now that they're kind of the front runners for Aaron Gordon potentially. The Celtics might have fallen out a little bit, which we'll get to them in a second after they lost earlier today. But the Nuggets definitely need to do something, and I think Aaron Gordon would be a solid move for them. I'm not sure if that's the move that they need. I would love to see the Nuggets somehow get another star on this team. Unfortunately, I just don't think that's on the market right now. I don't think there's any stars on the market that fit them. Kyle Lowry really doesn't fit with Jamal Murray being their primary ball handler a lot of the time, as well as Nikola Jokic. Kyle Lowry, I'm sure, could still thrive as a secondary ball handler next to Jamal Murray or Nikola Jokic, but I don't know. I just don't think he's really what they need. I think they would thrive from a guy who can just kind of put the ball in the basket. He doesn't need the ball in his hands a lot. Maybe like a Bradley Beal type guy, which has been a long rumor, but Beal's not in the market, so I'm not sure what the Nuggets are going to do. It's going to be something smaller, but well, hopefully we'll see something tomorrow. Now I'll move over to the team I was just talking about, the Boston Celtics, who got a 2-point loss handed to them by the Bucks today. This is a game the Celtics had a chance to win, and they just didn't. Daniel Tice had a 3 to try and win the game, missed. The Celtics, they made an effort to come back in this one. It was just too short. This Celtics team just isn't as good as previous iterations of it. They have to do something. I don't know what they're going to do, but something has to happen. Danny Ainge can't just sit there and do nothing. If he does that, I feel like his job is going to be in trouble, because earlier today on the ESPN's whole trade deadline preview show, Woj and Lowe were talking about how, Zach Lowe that is, we're talking about how a lot of teams are not really willing to deal with Danny Ainge because he backs out of deals and is super uncertain. That's not what you want to hear. Not from the GM of a franchise that is so used to winning and is used to getting deals done. They, assembling a big 3 of KG, Paul Pierce, you could talk about Ray Allen, assembling these teams, going out and getting guys, and to not be in GM's good favor because you're afraid of making trades. As a general manager in the NBA, one of the most player movement heavy leagues in the entire world, is not a good sign. So the Celtics, they have to do something tomorrow, or otherwise I think fans are going to start getting really angry with Danny Ainge really fast if they're not already getting angry. On the Bucks side of the ball, I don't think there are really any more moves to make for the Bucks. I don't see them making a move. I think that they've done everything. They traded Torrey Craig for cash. They brought in PJ Tucker. I think they're done. They brought in Drew Holiday in the offseason. That was their big pickup. The Bucks are on an 8 or 9 game win streak right now. I think I want to say 8, and they're rolling. So I don't see any reason for them to make moves. I think they are a contending team. We'll just see if they can put it together when it matters most. Suns and Magic. I could talk about these two teams, but I talked about them a lot in yesterday's video as well. The Suns caught a 1-point loss to the Magic today. Game they should have won. They just didn't. It happens. The Suns are reportedly probably going to stand pat on what they have right now, which makes sense. They are playing really, really well, but I would like to see them make like 1 or 2 more moves just to like solidify themselves, because it's the same thing that I talked about yesterday with the Sixers. When you have an opportunity to do something special, you take advantage of that. It's very rare in this league that you get a true chance to compete for a championship. And in this really weird season, it feels like so many more doors are open than in previous seasons, especially for a team like the Suns that haven't made the playoffs in years, never mind been a championship contender. I'd like to see them go out and make an addition. Lowe talked about this on the ESPN show earlier. He mentioned maybe trading for George Hill from the Thunder. Go ahead. If you guys want him, go for it. I'd love to see him help Chris Paul and Devin Booker go get a championship. So I would like to see them make 1 or 2 moves. I just don't know if they will. The Magic, would love to see him blow it up. Would love to see Vucevic trade off this team. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Fournier, Gordon, and maybe Terrence Ross are gone, which are 3 of the 4 guys that I said they should trade months and months ago. So, 3 out of 4, not bad for them. I don't know what other moves they'll make, but I think that's pretty much the bulk of what they're going to do is just deal those guys off. We'll see what they get in return. I think it sounds like they're going to get a decent bit for Gordon, maybe even a little more than if I was a GM I would pay, but, more power to them. Pistons, Pacers. This is a battle of 2 teams that I don't think are going to do much. The Pistons haven't really been rumored to be interested in anything, which makes sense. They're rebuilding. They're bad. I don't think that they're going to try and go out and make a win now move or anything like that. Wayne Ellington, maybe a guy that I could see getting moved. As for the Pacers, there's been random rumors recently that Brogdon, Sabonis, Turner, those guys are being gauged on the marketplace. I think that's just kind of like a precautionary measure just to kind of see what value they have in case they have way more value than the Pacers thought they did. I don't see any of those guys getting moved. Karis LeVert hit a kind of dagger shot tonight, and I think that the Pacers are going into the deadline day feeling pretty good about themselves. Even if they have been struggling, things are picking up. TJ Warren hopefully comes back at some point to solidify this roster, and you try and make that push to make a playoff run. But I don't think the Pacers are going to do anything dramatic. I don't think Brogdon's gone. I don't think Sabonis is gone. I don't think Turner's gone. I think pretty much everyone on that team is intact, other than maybe like a couple peripheral pieces. I think the core of that team does stay intact through the deadline tomorrow. Cavaliers, Bulls, Cavs 9-point over the Bulls. Cavs, another team I don't expect to do much. I think they'll end up buying out Drummond and maybe JaVale McGee, probably also JaVale McGee, and we'll see where they end up going. But in trades, not much is going to happen here. Maybe a Larry Nance Jr., but I'd be kind of surprised just because we haven't heard anything about him, although that does seem like a trade that would kind of sneak up on us. As for the Bulls side of things, they need to make some moves. Bulls fans are not happy with this team, and I think that they are going to get Lonzo Ball tomorrow. I think Lonzo Ball ends up as a Bull. I guess you could say it's Lonzo Bowl. Maybe. I'm sorry for that. I think he does end up as a Chicago Bull tomorrow. I think it just makes too much sense. He looks too good in that uniform. It'll happen. Mavericks, Timberwolves. Timberwolves are just bad. I don't think they're going to make any moves. Maybe they'll ship off a guy that's been productive for them that they think some other team would want, but I don't think they're going to make any moves that try and help them win. The Mavericks, I don't know. The Mavericks are an interesting team because I feel like there are moves they could make, but they're not going to make them. I don't see anything immediate that would help them a lot. Kyle Lowry, they're a sleeper team that I think they would really benefit from Kyle Lowry. I just don't think they end up making that move. They're not really committed to it. It's going to be hard for them to match that salary. I think they stand packed, maybe try and make a run at Drummond in the buyout market, but other than that, they kind of just see what happens. Hornets, Rockets. The Rockets got obliterated tonight. Oladipo did not play, he said, for personal reasons. I wouldn't be surprised if that just means that he's sitting out because they're going to trade him, which I think they do move on from him tomorrow. Where he goes, I'm not sure, but it doesn't sound like he has too much value, so it could be in any number of places. I guess if I had to guess, I would say maybe Miami, which would be pretty big for Miami if they pick up Oladipo and Kyle Lowry. Even if Oladipo isn't quite the player he used to be, he still has those moments of productivity. He could still give you some solid defense, and maybe he'll be more of a productive player if he doesn't have the ball in his hands as much. The Hornets, our team I thought would make a move, but it sounds like they're not going to anymore, particularly because LaMelo Ball is hurt. There are a lot of rumors that they're going to try and go out for like a Montrezl Harrell or like a Miles Turner before LaMelo Ball's injury, but now that he's hurt, they're kind of just going to chill, and I get that. That makes perfect sense. Chill for the season. If you make the playoffs, you make it. If you don't, you don't, and you wait to see if LaMelo can come back healthy this season, and if not, then we'll just see what happens next season. We're almost through the games. There were a lot tonight, I promise. We're almost through them. Clippers, Spurs. This was a blowout. Clippers destroyed the Spurs. The Spurs, I think they buy out Aldridge. I think that's about it. Maybe they ship off like a Rudy Gay. But I don't see them making any major moves. I don't think DeRozan's going to end up getting moved. Even if there have been rumors, I would be pretty surprised. It would be pretty cool to see him get traded. That would be another big name in a deadline that really doesn't feature a lot of big names being rumored. It'd be cool to see him get moved, let the young guys get more of an opportunity. Keldon Johnson, Lonnie Walker, DeJounte Murray, give those guys a chance to kind of spread their wings and fly a little bit more. Obviously, that would probably come at the cost of a playoff spot, but I don't think playoffs are in this team's agenda of things they need to accomplish this season. This is just a building season. For the Clippers, it's not going to be any core moves. It's going to be all peripheral moves, like maybe a George Hill. I don't think they're going to get like a Kyle Lowry or anything like that. I think this team, for the most part, is just going to go for small stuff, and I think George Hill is a name that could definitely fit them. Maybe they go for more of a big name like Norman Powell, but we'll see what they end up deciding to do. Jazz, like I said earlier, absolutely obliterated the Nets tonight. The Nets weren't playing without any of their big three, so it made sense that they got obliterated by a really good Jazz team. For the Jazz, I don't know what the move is. I feel like they're playing really, really well, and I don't think they want to break up this chemistry, but I do think they could benefit from some smaller moves, maybe also like a George Hill type guy. Maybe they could pick up like a JJ Redick in the buyout market. I think he would be a pretty big addition to this team. He has a connection to Quinn Snyder. As for the Nets, I think it's going to be mostly buyout type stuff too. Maybe like a Drummond, maybe bring in a JJ Redick as well. But I think for trades, maybe they move Dinwiddie's contract, but I wouldn't be too keen on that. I think, like I said just a second ago, it's going to be mostly buyout for them too. And that brings us to the final game of the day, which was Hawks-Kings, that literally just ended a second ago, with the Kings getting a 2-point win over the Hawks. Big win for a Kings team that's trying to compete. They're not going to deal anyone, I don't think. Maybe a Nemanja Bjelica gets traded, even though the trade rumors on him have kind of died down recently. They were pretty strong to start the season, but we haven't heard much. I think they're going to end up buying out Hassan Whiteside, and I think they kind of stand packed with their core for the most part. With Shai Gilgeous-Alexander going down, that's another team that is out of their way to potentially take a spot from them in the play-in game. I think they try and make that push. I don't see it happening, but, it's the Kings. They're going to try and do what the Kings want to do, and I don't see them moving Harrison Barnes. He's been good for them, and it's rumored that they're going to keep him as well as Buddy Hield. So I think the Kings kind of just chill. Hawks, final team that I'm going to talk about here, and I don't think they do much either. I think John Collins stays. I am 100% sure, honestly, that John Collins stays. Woj said earlier he doesn't see him getting moved, and so I trust that. There's been rumors about maybe Cam Reddish, or at least that they were gauging Cam Reddish's value. I don't think the Hawks do that. I don't think they're ready to give up on Cam Reddish so soon. Similarly to why John Collins I didn't think was going to get given up on. I'm now checking my phone again because I saw a notification. I thought it was Woj. It was not. No trades have happened still at 12:25 Eastern time on the trade deadline day. But yeah, I don't see Cam Reddish getting moved. I think that the Hawks are going to chill. They're going to keep evaluating their young core, continue the success they're having, especially since they're on a roll. Not with this game losing to the Kings, but since they fired Lloyd Pierce, they've been winning a lot of games, and so I think they're just going to try and keep that momentum going. So that was all the teams from today. Like I said, I wasn't going to talk too much about the teams themselves in these games because a lot of these teams could look really different tomorrow. So I kind of wanted to just give my opinion on all of these teams, what their trade deadlines are going to look like. Let me know what you think about all of this. Let me know what you think the trade deadline is going to have in store for us, who's getting moved, who's going where, and all that stuff. So I'll be back tomorrow with some trade deadline reactions. If trades actually happen tomorrow, they will. I'm just joking. Maybe. We'll see. So I'll see you guys later. Real one, say it back.